and our kitchen table. Let's sit around Granny Marble's table and talk about the things that are affecting agriculture today in Down on the Farm country. But first, let's take a look at ag weather for just, about 4 of the communities here in Down on the Farm country. Abilene, mostly sunny, 48 the high, 36 the low, winds out of the north at 15. Sonora, mostly sunny, 56 the high, 41 the low, winds out of the west at 15. San Antonio, mostly sunny, 66 the high, 45 the low, winds out of the west at 12. And Alice, mostly sunny, 71 the high, 47 the low, winds out of the west at 17. As you can see, neighbor, the highs get higher as you go further south, and those lows, they get a little warmer as you do that also. But the winds, all they do is change. They're going to be somewhere between, say, 12 and 20 mile an hour. Neighbor, before we head to the Texas Farm Bureau Radio News Desk, let's take a look at our commodities as close to the noon hour as we can get them. Remember, there is a lag in between the time I said it and you hear it, so don't use this to make a trade. It's just a snapshot of a price in time. December corn down 9 1/4, 406 1/2. January beans down 15, 1061 1/2. December Kansas City hard red winter wheat down 6 1/2 at 542 3/4. December number 2 cotton down 141 at 70.62. December live cattle up 32.50 at 104.37. January feeder cattle up 87 1/2 at 129.30. December lean hogs down 1 at 66.65. December U.S. dollar up 648 points at 93.57. December West Texas intermediate crude down 226 at 37.31. Neighbor, it's time to check in with the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network. Carrie Martin is at the mic. Carrie, what's your topic for today's edition of Focus on Ag?
Another record-setting cattle on feed report. I'm Carrie Martin with Focus on Agriculture on the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network. Very high placements of cattle into feedlots are swelling those feedlot inventories to numbers not seen in at least 24 years. USDA livestock analyst Shale Shagum takes a look at some of those numbers from Friday's Cattle on Feed report.
Producers placed just over 2.2 million head of cattle on feed during September, which was about 6% above a year ago. They marketed just over 1.8 million head, which was also 6% above a year ago, but this reflects an additional slaughter day. If you make the adjustment for the additional slaughter day, marketings during September were actually up about 1%. The on-feed number on October 1st was 11.7 million head, which was almost 4% above a year earlier, and the highest October 1 inventory number since the series began in 1996.
Shagum says one big reason for that is deteriorating pasture conditions around the country, as well as the fallout from COVID-19.
I'm a cotton farmer.
I'm BASF.
I'm made of grit, passion, and hands that never stop working.
I'm made of agronomics, innovation, and hands that never stop helping.
I believe cotton isn't a crop. It's a calling. I'm made to grow it.
Protect it.
I know this is important to my family.
Every family.
That's why I work harder.
Innovate better.
To make my cotton as good as it can be.
As protected as it can be.
I'm a cotton farmer.
I'm BASF.
We create chemistry.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Visit Texas Farm Bureau Insurance today at tfbinsurance.com to find an insurance agent who's a true neighbor. Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Senate Ag Committee member Debbie Stabenow is leading a group of 15 senators asking Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue to reverse a decision that excluded dairy farmers from getting coronavirus aid for losses from meat produced from breeding animals. The Hagstrom report says the senators point out that losses from meat produced from breeding animals were included in the first coronavirus food assistance program, but not in the second round, known as CFAP 2. The senators wrote a letter saying this change will affect the livestock industry and will be particularly harmful to dairy farmers who often operate at extremely tight margins. I'm Carrie Martin, and this is the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network.
Neighbor, my stomach's rumbling, and I know yours is too, because I can hear it from across Granny Marble's kitchen table. So let's eat. Hop Sing's going to feed us chicken fried steak, jalapeno gravy, plenty of Nanny's yeast rolls, and a cold cucumber salad, and I'm pouring a glass of iced tea for Henry Pickett. He's going to eat with us. Henry, there's your plate, but before you fill it, tell us how the sale went in Abilene.
Well, it was pretty light due to the weather. We had a lot of ice and sleet, and roads were pretty bad. We ended up with 265 with about 70 cows. Everything was down a little bit. The light cattle were 3 to 5 lower, and yearlings were $5 lower. They put a little money on the Packer cow deal and the Packer bulls, but everything else was down a little.
What was the shiniest consignment you had to come through the barn on a cold day?
Oh, we had some pretty nice little 450-pound blacks and black molly steers come off one ranch, and they still bring up there about 140, 150, but
right.
Everything else was a little cheaper.
Right. The lighter cattle doing better than the heavier cattle?
Right now, and I think after this weather clears up, they might take a little jump because with possibility of some wheat pasture now.
Right. I understand. Do you know of anything for this next week?
2 or 3 different ones called that we're going to try to get in this week, and hopefully they can get out, bring them to us this coming week.
Good deal. Well, Henry, y'all take care of yourself and tell us how to get a hold of you.
I can be reached on my cell phone at 940-733-8208 or at the cell barn 325-673-7865.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm on the line with Sam from D&D. Sam, what do you want to tell us about today?
Larry, right now we're having a sale, huge blowout sale of 2096 Stay Tough deer wire for only $359.
How long does the sale go on, Sam?
It's going to go on for the end of the month or while supplies last.
Tell everybody how to contact you at D&D.
You can contact one of our friendly staff members at 830-379-7340.
Neighbor, I hear cattle in the alleyway. That means they're getting ready for the sale at Producers in Cargyle, San Angelo. That'll happen on Thursday. Let's talk to Benny Cox from Producers. Benny, what is that sale tomorrow going to look like?
Oh, gosh, we're real light. We got one set of calves down there, some thin calves, about 90 of those. And then after that, hardly anything here on the yards. We'll catch those west, like we talked yesterday. We'll get some cattle from out west. There's hardly any doubt. What we do have coming up is a cow sale. And that thing is going to be on the 8th. Which is Thursday, of course, in conjunction with the regular sale. We've got 189 cows. The McCoy Land and Cattle Company, that's the McCoy lumber people. They've been in the Angus business for a long time. They got 189 cows coming. Most of them are 4- and 5-year-olds. There's one set in there that's, I think one load of those will be 7-year-olds. The rest of them 4s and 5s. They're bred to Gardner and R.A. Brown Angus bulls. To start calving December the 5th, and they left the bulls in for 90 days. So it sounds like a really good deal. Now they're coming from out west Texas. Those cattle, we've sold a good many of those cows here in the last 2.5 months, and the cows have been in really good flesh. They're just having to lighten up out there because there's just not much feed at all in a lot of those places. So that's the only reason they'd be coming to sale. But it sounds like a really nice consignment. So if you need some Angus cows, the quality's good. Now they're ranch cows,
right? And
you need to be able to handle those things. But they're certainly a nice set of cows.
Tell everybody how to get a hold of you.
They can call me on my mobile anytime. It's 325-234-4277. The office, same area code, 653-3371. Or they can always look at the web, which is producersincargyle.com.
We appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Talk to you next week.
Bye-bye. Neighbor, now it's time for one of my favorite features that we have here at Down on the Farm Radio. It's Jessica Dummel and the Texas Wildlife Radio Report. Jessica, what's your topic today? Neighbor, wildlife is important to Texas, and therefore it's important to agriculture. Both farmers and ranchers many times lease their properties, whether it's a milo field that doves fly over, or whether it's a South Texas ranch where there might be a fever tick. That's right, and your deer need to be inspected. Jessica Dummel speaks about that on today's edition of the Texas Wildlife Radio Show from the Texas Farm Bureau Radio News Desk. Jessica?
Hunters play a critical role in helping to prevent the spread of a pest that could greatly impact the cattle and horse industries. That's why people who harvest white-tailed deer, nilgai antelope, black buck, axis deer, or other exotic cervids in parts of Cameron, Jim Hogg, Jim Wells, Hidalgo, Maverick, Starr, Webb, Willacy, and Zapata counties must have their take inspected for cattle fever ticks by the Texas Animal Health Commission or the U.S. Department of Agriculture before leaving those areas. Dr. News' Offer McDoomey, Laredo Region Director for the Animal Health Commission, joins us with more.
It's totally okay to skin the hides on the property, but we strongly recommend to put a tarp on the ground before skinning the animal. That way, we'll be able to gather fever ticks on the tarp that fall off during the skinning process. Additionally, the hunters can store the hide in a trash bag for us to be able to treat it without spreading fever ticks.
Failure to get a deer or other cervid inspected for cattle fever ticks before leaving the quarantine zone could lead to a fine.
It would be a L2 level offense, and that would incur an administrative penalty, which would range from $150 to $300 if it's the first offense. Repeat offenses will incur an administrative penalty of up to $1,000.
Cattle fever ticks can carry babesiosis bovis, or cattle fever. Cattle fever attacks and destroys the animal's red blood cells, causing acute anemia, high fever, and enlargement of the spleen and liver. It ultimately results in the death of up to 90% of susceptible naive cattle. A map of the quarantine areas and phone numbers you can call for those inspections are available on the Texas Animal Health Commission website.
Where has Pioneer Corn Product Development taken me today? Welcome to the local research center in Mankato, Minnesota. I'm in the main building because it's hot and sticky outside, really humid. And I'm looking out the window at a field planted with Pioneer's most advanced corn trait technology, Pioneer brand Chrome products. The breeders here are excited because Chrome technology works across more Pioneer germplasm than previous triple stack products. So at the same time you're getting strong pest protection, you're unlocking more yield potential. I see a couple of Pioneer scientists out in the fields now. Me, I've got air conditioning and a soda, so I'm good. The Research Center in Mankato, another place that makes Pioneer, Pioneer. You'll hear more from me later. For now, let your local Pioneer sales representative hear from you.
For the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network, I'm Jessica Domel.
Neighbor, you know, one of the best things about being a Down on the Farm radio listener is, you get to travel a bit. Let's travel with our head cowboy, Eddie Arnold, down to Brenham in Washington County and talk to Doug Bass from Cattleman's Brenham. They sell them every Friday. Doug, how'd you sell them last week?
We had a good sale, Mr. Larry. We ended up with 1,226 head of cattle. Cow market looked steady to the week before. Calf market, I think, was a little weaker. Didn't see a whole lot of change. I think some of the bigger cattle could have been cheaper, though. On your weighing cows, your thinner, lower yielding cows bring 19 to 40. Your better high yielding cows bring 43 to 56. Thinner bulls, lower yielding bulls bring 50 to 63. The better high yielding bulls bring 65 to 78. Pairs, we didn't have very many pairs, handful of pairs. They bring from 6 to 900. And the bred cows, not a whole lot of bred cows last Friday either. We had them from $450 to $1,200. On your 1 to 2 weight roping calves, steers bring 155 to 180. Heifers bring 140 to 165. 2 to 3 weight steers bring 138 to 178. Heifers bring 125 to 133. 3 to 4 weight steers bring 130 to 180. Heifers bring 118 to 141. 4 to 5 weight steers bring 127 to 168. Heifers bring 115 to 147. 5 to 6 weight steers bring 115 to 142. Heifers bring 108 to 128. 6 to 7 weight steers bring $1 to $1.22. Heifers bring 105 to 136. 7 to 8 weight steers bring 85 to 112. Heifers bring 90 to 108. 800 and the 800 to 1,000 pound steers and bull yearlings bring 80 to 110, and the heiferettes bring 70 to $1.
Good. So it sounds like you had a good sale. What do you know coming for this next Friday's sale?
We've got some people calling. The weather's changed on us a little bit. They're calling for us to get some good rain tonight and tomorrow, and I really hope that comes. We need it. And so I think that's probably going to slow us down a little bit this week.
We'll hope for the numbers that we can get. Tell everybody how to get a hold of you if they need to.
Yes, sir. Y'all can call me on my cell phone, which is 979-877-4454, or call us there at the office, which is 979-836-3621.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much, Doug Bass.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Larry. Y'all have a good week.
Neighbor, I'm going to talk to the good folks at Caldwell Livestock Commission Company, Carl Herman and crew. But first, I want y'all to take a visit with me to the Texas Farm Bureau Radio News Desk and see what Tom Nicoletti's talking about on today's edition of Texas News and Views.
Pasture and forage improvements on new property. I'm Tom Nicoletti with Texas News and Views from the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network. Details after these messages.
I'm a cotton farmer.
I'm BASF.
I'm made of grit, passion, and hands that never stop working.
I'm made of agronomics, innovation, and hands that never stop helping.
I believe cotton isn't a crop. It's a calling. I'm made to grow it.
Protect it.
I know this is important to my family.
Every family.
That's why I work harder.
Innovate better.
To make my cotton as good as it can be.
As protected as it can be.
I'm a cotton farmer.
I'm BASF.
We create chemistry.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Visit Texas Farm Bureau Insurance today at tfbinsurance.com to find an agent who's there when you need them most. Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Site selection is one factor people need to consider when planting forages and establishing pastures on new property they may have purchased. Tyler Jacobs, broker partner with Hall & Hall, joins me again today. He outlines what new buyers of property need to be aware of to maintain long-term value of their rural property. Besides site selection, Tyler, let's talk about quality over quantity. What do you mean by that?
Well, one of the other mistakes you see made is people think that planting more acreage is better, and that's not necessarily true. At the end of the day, when everything is done and you're utilizing those pastures and you're managing them for your purposes, what you'll find is you'll be better off managing smaller number of acres to a higher degree than a larger number of acres to a lower degree. So you're better off having 5 well-managed acres where you've got great establishment, great fertility, great production than 50 poorly managed acres because the landowner only has a certain amount of dedicated resources. So this is particularly true when it comes to hay production, such with improved varieties of Bermuda grasses, or in other contexts where you need to manage brush species. You're always better off doing a smaller amount of acreage better than a larger amount of acreage poor. You'll be happier with the results, and you'll enjoy that resource a lot better.
And then there's long-term maintenance.
And this ties into the previous 2 points. So the better soil I'm planted on, the more resources I can afford to put into those acreages. So when we go in and you're making this establishment decision of how you're going to do this, you really need to not just be thinking about what it's going to cost you that year to establish that, but you need to think about what it's going to cost to maintain that stand of improved grass for the coming years. And a lot of times we go to a pasture that the seller is kind of bragging on, hey, this is my improved pasture, and if it's Bermuda grass, it's got kind of invasive natives kind of growing up in it because they hadn't spent the money on the fertilizer to maintain it. Or on the other side, if it's a native stand, you see the brush coming back in it, right? Those are things you see a lot. So really consider when you're laying that out, long term, can I dedicate the resources to that pasture that I need to justify what I'm fixing to spend to plant it? The better soil you plant it on to begin with, and the better you prep that soil and plan for that and the acreage amount, I think the more success you'll have in the long term.
Yes, site selection, quality over quantity, and long-term maintenance, all of these impact the eventual long-term property value.
Absolutely. Again, when you pull up and you see that beautiful, lush, well-managed pasture, it's always an asset to the property and therefore valuable to the next owner.
Those comments again from Tyler Jacobs. He is with Hall & Hall Partners, LLP from College Station.
When we moved to Texas, we were like fish out of water. We didn't know anyone in our neighborhood until our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent came to the house. She was so helpful and reassuring, a friendly face with that Texan hospitality I'd heard about. When we purchased a Texas Farm Bureau insurance policy, we knew we were making the right choice. We knew our family would be protected.
Visit Texas Farm Bureau Insurance today at tfbinsurance.com to find an insurance agent who's a true neighbor. Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
This is Texas News and Views. I'm Tom Nicoletti with the Texas Farm Bureau Radio Network.
Neighbor, when you hear Milk Cow Blues on a Thursday. No, heck, it's a Wednesday. I'm getting ahead of myself. But Carl Herman's not getting ahead of himself. He's just right on time because they're selling cattle over at Caldwell Livestock Commission Company, and he's got the Hungry Heifer open, so if you folks can't eat lunch here, go over there. Carl Herman, what's the sales shaping up to be?
It's cold and damp down here, but we've got some cattle coming in. It's going to be fine. I think we're tagging on like 450 or 60 right now, so I look to have, if the weather's not too bad tomorrow, probably somewhere between 500 and 600.
Good.
For some bad weather, that's not too bad down here. About 10% cows and rest calves.
Do we have a special coming?
Yes, sir. November 14th, we'll have 700 as good Brayford heifers, Brangus heifers, cows, opens, breds, pairs that you'll see. So November 14th, Saturday at 1 o'clock.
All right. Tell everybody how to get a hold of you, Carl.
My number is 979-820-5349. Call the barn, 567-4119. If you're in the Giddings and surrounding area, call Max Ebner at 540-8676.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Larry.
Neighbor, I want to remind you about the South Texas Hereford Association's fall sale coming up Saturday, October the 31st at 12 p.m. at the Beeville Livestock Commission Company. The annual sale is going to be held there, and there will also be a broadcast online at liveauctions.tv for online bidding. Now, for more information on the program, or the 57 Hereford bulls, 20 Brahma bulls, or 250 Hereford or Brahma F1 females, or for videos of the consignments, call 361-920-0012, or go to www.southtexashereford.org. Again, that's South Texas Hereford Association's next fall sale, October the 31st at the Beeville Livestock Commission Company. Call Robbie at 361-920-0012 for details. Neighbor, let's take a look at those grains, courtesy of John Tuggle & Company, Corpus. Call 800-288-4453. Number 2 or better Milo through Corpus in October. Dees Plus 220, 1136. We'll call Progresso 1050. Number 2 or better Yellow Corn through Corpus in October. Dees Plus 40, 456. We'll call Houston Dees Plus 30, 446. And Progresso 870. Number 1 Hard Red Winter Wheat through Corpus in October. Dees Plus 75, 624 and a quarter. We'll call Houston Dees Plus $1 bill, $6.49 and a quarter. And we'll call Houston Beans October, November delivery, $10.67 and a quarter. And we'll call Placido November less 60, $10.22 and a quarter.
The formula for success is a simple one. Put strong in, get strong out. That's why cotton growers looking to improve yield potential plant Delta Pine brand cotton, featuring 100 years of proven yield potential and exclusive genetics in every bag. Strong is a legacy all its own. Protect yours with strong cotton from Delta Pine. Always read and follow IRM where applicable, grain marketing and all other stewardship practices and pesticide label directions.
Neighbor, let's check Texas cotton and see if they've got a report for us. We moved 923 bale of East Texas, 3,897 bale of West Texas. Prices ranged from, let's say a low of $66.53 to a high of around $69.28. Neighbor, looks to me like that's it for this edition of our program. Of course, I call it Down on the Farm, and they call me Larry Marble, and I call you my neighbor. Neighbor, will call you back to whatever platform you're listening to from our kitchen table, of course, for tomorrow's edition of our program. Good day.